Hello everybody, and this is your old friend Bill Chase coming back at you with a quick episode of Bill Chase in the Movies. Last few weeks have been pretty stressful for me as my job, my personal life, and computer problems, all of the above, have prevented me from doing my show and doing what I love. Here at Bill Chase in the Movies, I try to lend the best expert analysis and in-depth thoughts of any film I watch. Sadly, however, this episode will not be it. I can only quickly review these films for you. It's the only way I can get caught up. But next week, do not worry because my computer problems are pretty much over. I'll be back online giving you the best of what I can in the film reviews. Now, I'm going to first off begin by saying none of these films really warrant top of the year, best of the year quality. Some are worse. But if any of them were best of the year caliber, then I would obviously go in more depth about them on a further show, but none of them are. So I'm just going to quickly go over the films that I've seen in the last month. Where the Wild Things Are was a very touching, sometimes heartbreaking, but generally uplifting kid's story fairy tale come to life from the infamous children's book in the 1960s. There were some great characters, and it was easy to follow, and I just couldn't help but sit there and have an overall enjoyable time. So I gave Where the Wild Things Are 3.5 stars out of 5. The Stepfather was yet another drony, craptacular horror film which had no business being on a movie screen. Much like what Love Happens did for romance films, The Stepfather does for horror films. It not only borrowed from every word in the textbook, it borrowed from every letter, right down to the letter. Dylan Walsh of Nip Tuck fame was passable as the villain, but was just given nothing to work with. CeeLo Ward is really just out of her element in almost any film. I don't think she's a very good actress, quite frankly. And again, as much as a good-looking actress as Amber Heard is, she's a very beautiful woman. We don't need a million gratuitous shots of her in her underwear, bikini, yada 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 yada. She's a talented actress. She should not have to rely on that. She should not be turning into Megan Fox. And this movie is just dreadful from the get-go. 0 out of 5 for The Stepfather. Law-Abiding Citizen, the action film starring Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler. Again, much like most action films I've seen this year, it's a little implausible. However, this time, they really dealt well with the human response of the characters involved. As Gerard Butler's character loses his family, especially his daughter, which really just strikes him hard. And then when the guys get off on a lighter sentence, he takes revenge in his own hands, gets arrested himself, and still somehow is taking revenge. Jamie Foxx plays a great role as someone who's just caught between a rock and a hard place, and you really wonder who the real villain is in this film. So for Law-Abiding Citizen, 3.5 stars out of 5. Paranormal Activity was a really excellent horror film that relied on genuine scares. It doesn't rely on gore, guts, slashing, stupid teenagers running around. The fact of the matter is, it was like the Blair Witch Project. It relied on sheer terror and reality. It's not quite as good as the Blair Witch Project for me, which is a classic, but you know what? It's still an excellent movie in its own right. I think every horror fan should go see it if you haven't yet. It's caught the craze. I saw it just before the craze caught on, maybe about a couple weeks before. It's excellent. 4 stars out of 5 for Paranormal Activity. Freestyle, just another inspired I Have a Dream Mom and You're Not Going to Stand in My Way film with Corbin Bleu of High School Musical fame. Buddy, this is going to be your whole career. 1.5 stars out of 5. An Education is an interesting film starring Carey Mulligan and Peter Sarsgaard. Mulligan is someone they're already regarding as the next Audrey Hepburn. I wouldn't go that far, but she is an excellent actress. I'm not gonna lie here. She's excellent in this film and gives an Oscar-worthy performance. It's about a May-December romance, but not in a way that you would think. It's very creative, very elemental, if you will. Its elements really stand out, and it's just not as cut and dry as it sounds. So I give An Education 4.5 stars out of 5. Next up also is A Single Man, Colin Firth, Julianne Moore. Now, Colin Firth is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood. I know some critics like him, but I don't think he really gets the recognition he truly deserves. And in this movie, he's really good. He plays a gay man trying to get over the death of his partner, relying on an old flame, a woman, played by Julianne Moore. And it's a great story about friendship, and it's kind of a love story, too. It's on a very high level in terms of its people and its interactions, so I gave it 4 stars out of 5. Saw 6. You've seen this movie before. 0 stars out of 5. Cirque du Freak, the vampire's assistant, John C. Reilly, is very charismatic as a vampire, but the rest of the movie just falls completely flat. Basically, all this film was trying to do is capitalize on the popularity of the vampire craze right now. I didn't enjoy it whatsoever, despite Riley's energetic performance. 2 stars out of 5. Also, Astro Boy, the new computer-animated cartoon, which features the voice talents of Freddie Highmore and Nicolas Cage, about a boy who's an Astro Boy. Really, this movie just did nothing for me, much like the original '60s series. Maybe I was already soured into it going into it. I don't know. Either way, I just didn't like it. 2 stars out of 5. This Is It, Michael Jackson's eye-opening documentary. Before he died, he had a dream. One last tour. To once again, take the world by storm. This movie lets him live out that dream. With some great footage of how that was all put together, how Michael put everything together, how the crew put everything together. Some great footage here. It was almost like seeing him live, and it was the closest I ever came to seeing him live. Just a very enjoyable experience for any fan of Michael Jackson. If you're not a fan, you might just go into it with an empty mind and not enjoy it, but I think you might be pleasantly surprised. 4.5 stars out of 5 for This Is It. Amelia marks Hilary Swank's return to Oscar-type movies, but again, it kind of just fell flat. Now, that having said, however, I'm still recommending the movie, based on her excellent performance. It's just the movie's historical poignancy didn't really come through at all. Richard Gere is also very excellent as her husband. I would love to see Richard get his first Oscar nomination, but I don't think it's going to happen. Now, Hilary Swank has been in somewhat of a bad slump lately, trying to do box office hit films like Freedom Writers and that one about the plagues. I can't remember the title. Man, she's really frustrated. She's really frustrated me since her Oscar-winning $1 Million Baby. Oh, and also, P.S. I love you. I can read that drony piece of crap. Yeah, girls, I said it. Drony piece of crap. Anyway, she's excellent here. I'm recommending it based on her performance. I believe it is an Oscar-worthy performance, but I think due to the fact that the movie's got such a poor reception, I don't see her getting a nomination this time. Sorry, Hillary. Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day, the sequel to the legendary cult film 10 years ago starring Sean Patrick Flannery. And as the two McManus brothers are living a quiet life in Ireland, they realize that their favorite priest has been murdered. So, of course, they take revenge into their own hands. This movie just lacked the complete magic and energy that the first one had, and the overall enjoyability. Despite good performances, I just did not think it compared on a level that the original cult favorite had. It's had such a huge cult following that even a documentary is made about it. This was just completely unnecessary. I did not see any point for a sequel to be made to this. That's why, in my opinion, cult films never should have a sequel. Does Rocky Horror Picture Show have a sequel? No, it doesn't, and it never should, quite frankly. Boondock Saints 2 All Saints Day gets 2.5 stars out of 5. Gentlemen Broncos, done by the director of Napoleon Dynamite, Jared Hess, once again writes very interesting, very odd, and very quirky characters in a story that just does not make a lot of sense. It's basically about a sci-fi geek and his mother. The mother is played by Jennifer Coolidge, who best known as Stifler's mom. She is very good here. I enjoyed the overall aspect of the film and the likability of the characters, despite the fact that this even made less sense than Napoleon Dynamite at times. I don't think it had quite the, I guess you could say the overall appeal that Napoleon Dynamite had to its audience. The overall, I guess you could say, popularism, or it just does not have the same effect, long-term effect that Napoleon Dynamite had. I saw this movie weeks ago. It just has nothing. Napoleon Dynamite was quoting lines within a week. The fact of the matter is, it just did not have the same effect on me, but it's still good. So 3 stars out of 5 for Gentlemen Broncos.